Welcome to Ironing with Henry. You've caught me in an unusual situation. First of all, I'm wearing a hoodie and jogging pants, and I'm ironing. So I decided to revive my channel with this new segment called Ironing with Henry. I iron once a week my shirts because it's an important part of my schedule. I wear shirts every day, so that's why it's unusual, because you see me in a hoodie. So I'll be combining the transfer of knowledge from my brain to yours and the skill of ironing, which is rather meditative. I'm not saying I'm very good at ironing, but I do it every week, so I think I would have gained some skill over the past, what is it now? It's September, October, November, December, January, February, so about, wait. Yeah, about 6.5 months. Took me a second. So I've been wearing shirts daily roughly for the past 6.5 months, and I'm going to explain in this video why I think wearing shirts is very important or can really help you. Just to explain my setup here, so I'm using this iron from Philips, but it doesn't have a water spray, so I'm using this Glasex bottle to spray, and it's actually better than any iron I've ever used. Usually the iron spray it's okay, but this nozzle is very broad, wide, so it sprays nicely, so you can cover a lot of area, and it's thin, the water, so it's actually very good. Don't worry, I cleaned it well. There's no chemicals in here anymore. So let's start. Please don't judge my technique. So yeah, let's start. So I wanted to revive my channel because I want to make sure that I transfer the knowledge in my brain in case anything happens to me and I'm no longer here. It's quite a dark way to start this this channel, but because I do think I have learned a lot over my lifetime, and I want to make sure that I can transfer it well, so if anybody else is in my position, they can maybe learn something. I don't know if they can, but I assume they could. That's why it's quite important to me. Because I also journal, so if I ever die, just look at my journals. You can read them. It's quite personal, but I do try and document the knowledge in my head in the journal. So feel free to read that, anybody then. Perhaps it can help you somehow. Alright, so talk about ironing. So why do I iron? I mean, a lot of people I think don't like ironing because it's tedious, it's boring. It takes quite a lot of time, honestly. It does. So why do I like ironing? Well, I think it's meditative, because you're just standing here, you're doing a very simple task of ironing. There's not much brain thought that needs to go into it, so you can kind of shut off. You can just go on autopilot and not have to think about anything. And that's quite nice. I like that. It's a good way to calm down after a long day, or take a break. And it's a good routine. It's like a ritual, I would say. If you do it once a week, it's quite nice. I like that. Yeah, I can recommend that. I hope I hope the steam doesn't create too much noise and cut me off. I hope you can still hear me. Okay, let's talk about shirts and dressing smartly now. So I started wearing shirts in September last year. It's now March 2020, so I started September 2019. Why did I start wearing shirts? Well, there are a few reasons. So I have an idol, somebody I wouldn't call them an idol, but somebody I look up to, let's say, Jordan Peterson, Dr. Jordan B. Peterson. And I like the way he articulates himself. He's very knowledgeable. He is full of conviction. He's persuasive. And I aspire to be something like that myself, of course, in my own version. And I'm thinking, okay, well, how does Jordan present himself? Well, if you look at his videos, especially his recent videos, he's always dressed very smartly. Okay, well, why would he dress smartly? Well, maybe it reflects something about you, about what's going on in your head. I think the way you appear is a reflection of what's inside of you. And of course, if you're internally a mess or troubled or chaotic, I think it does reflect in the way you present yourself, not just in what you wear, but also the way you hold yourself, your posture, etc. And I think, okay, well, maybe there's something behind the way he's dressing. There's a reason for it. And I realized, okay, well, let's try it out myself. So I started wearing shirts, and I can honestly say it's changed my life. I think I would say I respect myself more because I take care of myself actively. And in the beginning, if you start wearing shirts, you may think, oh, well, it's such a pain in the butt. I need to iron every week, and it's like uncomfortable. I mean, it's not really uncomfortable, but it may seem like an effort in the beginning. But it's really not. I mean, let's say in the beginning it might be an effort, but the key here is to create a habit that will eventually just work automatically on autopilot in your life, and you no longer need to think about it. So you'll eventually just wear shirts automatically, you'll dress smartly automatically, without it tiring your brain, thinking, oh, now I need to wear a shirt, I don't want to do this. It just sort of becomes your routine, your automatic routine, and that's quite good, I think. So how else has it changed my life? Well, believe it or not, but I think the way you appear, also when you look in the mirror, affects the way you treat yourself in your brain. If you look smart, it makes you confident. I mean, it's not hard to assume that. And if you look smart every single day, well, you're going to be more confident in the long term. That's a very powerful trick, I believe. And of course, the question arises, well, there might be a something negative about that, and that you become dependent on what you wear. That your confidence is derived from your looks, and you could argue that with brand clothes. It's not good to base your self-value, your self-esteem on the brands you wear, because that's unsustainable, it's extrinsic, it's external, that's not a good source of confidence. True, that is true, and that's a danger, I think, of dressing smartly or deriving your confidence off how you wear, but, okay, let me think, what's the solution to that? Let's not let this burn. What's the solution to that? I think if you're actively conscious of not letting it determine your confidence, I think then it works fine. Yeah. Because the wearing shirts, wait, let me quickly hang this up. The wearing shirts, it goes beyond the confidence, it compounds. Because you become more confident, then you might take on new opportunities which otherwise you wouldn't, and then you get out of your comfort zone, and then you build more confidence because you realize, wait, I can actually act very confidently in this and this situation, and that's powerful. I think that'll change your life, seriously, straight up. That'll change your life. And I was thinking, is there a symbol behind shirts, specifically for guys? Let's say now, because I'd say guys is more of a piece of clothing that typically men would wear. I don't want to say anything wrong now, but I do assume that. Is there something symbolic behind it, or is it just a social norm or a societal value that we have placed on this piece of clothing? I don't know. But there is something very slick about shirts, especially white shirts, I would say. If you just wear a white shirt, very slick. I mean, you don't need to wear a suit with it, but just, you know, some clean pants, like jeans, well, not jeans, like some black trousers. That can look really slick, I think. And yeah, and what's interesting is also people will treat you differently if you look smart. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, looking at somebody in a jogging suit, jogging pants, is not as nice as looking at somebody who's dressed very smartly. Like, you appreciate if somebody gives the effort to look smartly. And it's also a matter of respect, honestly. Because if you respect a ceremony, meeting somebody, you dress smartly. Like, you're not gonna turn up to a wedding in jogging pants, are you? You're gonna dress up in the adequate smart clothing because you respect the ceremony and the people. Well, what if you did that for more than just weddings, like your everyday life, meeting friends, meeting colleagues, going to work? People will notice that and they'll appreciate it, I think. And it's just nicer to look at somebody who's smart, because I would say, okay, this is a dangerous statement, but maybe it could be that people higher up in social hierarchies dress smartly naturally because smartness is maybe connected with wealth. And if you dress smartly, people assume you to be higher up in a social hierarchy and will treat you adequately then. I think you can watch more of Jordan Peterson's theories on the dominant hierarchy to get that, like, a deeper explanation of that. But I do think that might be the case. I'm not sure, but I think that might be the case. And you will get benefits off that if then people assume you to be higher up. They will treat you like you're higher up, and yeah. And I think you can benefit a lot off of that. They'll treat you like a winner, more confident, instead of somebody who's defeated. And that you will reap large benefits off of that, seriously. And it's not expensive, you know, you can get shirts quite cheaply. It's not an expensive endeavor, really isn't. So I can highly recommend that. So I think that's all I wanted to say for this first video now. I hope you enjoyed it. You could learn something from ironing with Henry. I still have loads of shirts to do, honestly, but my phone's about to run out of battery, so I don't want to die. Don't want the phone to die. Neither do I. So yeah, what else is there? What else is there to say? Oh yes, please don't take everything I say as if it's the truth, because this is just my opinion. I'm biased. I make oversimplifications to reduce the complexity of reality and reduce the existential anxiety-provoking threat of the complexity of the universe. So think for yourself. This is just my input. Maybe you could learn something. I don't know, really. I hope you can. But that's really it. Yeah. Is there anything else I wanted to say? Yeah, so I can recommend dressing smartly in conclusion. It'll affect your brain, the way you view yourself, the way you respect yourself. It's a healthy habit. One of the healthy habits I think I can recommend adopting, seriously, for anyone. So that was it with my Philips Iron shirts and Glass X spray. And by the way, this is against the grain. This is my friend's venture on changing the perspective of society for the better, optimizing society's shortcomings into something beneficial, let's say, which I truly support and I stand behind. So maybe let's go against the grain, guys. Let's go. Boo, boo, boo!